What is up? Hello, everybody. I am the co-protector watching the borders. Oh, what's up, everybody? How you doing? Boy, oh boy, we got a big day of videos coming up. Warrior Queen is sleeping right now. It's 3:30 a.m. I got up maybe 2 a.m. Got up, played a little PlayStation, made some coffee, and now getting to work. Going to make some videos. We're going to do reaction videos. We're going to do all kinds of videos. This video came from a guy. He is called the European, and he does a lot of pro-Indian videos. And this is the first time I'm featuring his video. European dude, I didn't mean no disrespect to you. I will link you down there, and I enjoy your videos. Very good. So this is 8 reasons why India will rule the world in 2050. Very much fits into the motif that I've talked about with Kings of the East. My basis for Kings of the East comes from Scripture, comes from the Bible. I know that freaks out a lot of people when I talk about the Bible and prophecy, but I believe it. I am a devotee of Christ and try to my best adhere to his teachings and follow his instructions and look at his wisdom. Very much like my Indian friends may look at Sadhguru, or be a devotee of Shiva or Vishnu, and try to apply the lessons to your life. That's what I do. And Kings of the East is a very, very big deal. It is in the book of Revelation. It is a shifting of the paradigm, and basically what we see of the world powers is the Kings of the East, led by India. So it is a South Asian confederation. It's not the Chinese. I know a lot of American scholars want to say the Chinese is not the Chinese. There's a million reasons why it's not the Chinese. China sucks and is going down the tubes. Everybody knows it. I know it. India knows it. The whole world knows it, right? China is not a threat. They are becoming second tier. There is the Antichrist in his kingdom and time player, and that is probably the European Union or a different version of it. America is not the beast that it is now. It is not. America is not mentioned in prophecy, which means something bad happens to America, or we just don't care. And maybe that's the case, because when you look at Donald Trump and you look at his nationalism, which I have no problem with. I don't know why everybody's freaking out. You know, you say, I love my country. You're racist. Get out of here. You know what? Shut up. Those people need to shut up. It's not the UK. The UK, maybe the two are the young lions. Maybe they're the young lions that are mentioned in the book of Revelation. Could be. Maybe. I don't know. Ultimately, I don't know. So we have the Kings of the East led by India. We have the Antichrist, who is running the European Union, based in Babylon, Iraq. Hello, Iraq. And I think what is going to happen is America is just going to basically plow the way for the Antichrist to just walk right up and sit down and say, here I am, let's party. And then we have something called Gog and Magog. Gog and Magog. You say, Professor, what the hell is that? Gog and Magog, what is that? Well, Gog and Magog is Russia along with an Islamic confederation. They kind of band together. And then we have little old Israel all by herself. And that's kind of the insane power structure of the world. And everybody's going to kind of fall in it. China's not in it. It's going to be subservient to India. Australia's not in it. It's going to be subservient to, I don't know, maybe Kings of the East, maybe the Antichrist. I have no idea. And the Kings of the East march into battle against the Antichrist. They move into battle through a bunch of supernatural events that happened that cause this conflict. And so that is in the book of Revelation. But before we get there, before you read that, you have to work your way backwards. You have to look backwards at the plight of India. India just doesn't go from here to there. You know what I mean? It doesn't happen like that with nations. It's over time. It's a prolonged thing in time. And this is why I think the European has it right when he says that there are 8 reasons why India will rule the world in 2050. And so let's take a look at his video. I apologize in half. I got a cold. If I sneeze or cough, I apologize. I'll try not to do it on camera unless it's a really good one. Then I'll just spray the camera And you watching in India will catch my cold. You'll be like, oh, Professor, I hate when he does that. And I hate when it's so loud and I got my earbuds in and it blows my ears out. It's like, oh, I hate it. I'm sorry, guys. I don't mean it. I get excited. I'm like a little kid. You know, I'm going to be an outstanding grandpa. You got to admit it, dude. You got to admit it. Those of you who have little kids, don't you think, come on, you know I'm going to be a great grandpa. You know I'm going to be a great grandpa. Putting grandbabies on YouTube. Come on, grandbaby, let's watch. And I'm not gonna call my grandbabies by their name. I'm just gonna call them grandbaby. Grandbaby number 1, grandbaby number 2, grandbaby number 3, and then I'll say, hey, grandbabies, who wants to go for ice cream? Let's go get some ice cream. You know, they'll be like, oh, grandpa. All right, anyways, it's enough of my shenanigans.
8 reasons why India will rule the world in 2050. 2 centuries ago, no one would have believed that the United States of America would ever become a country of any significance. The US was no more than a troubled colony of the British Empire, torn apart by domestic controversies over slavery, later that century resulting in a devastating civil war. In 1800, the United States had a small population of about 5 million and a tiny army. The United Kingdom and Spain, for example, both had populations of over 10 million. Germany had about 20 million and France was close to 30 million. The United States was located far away from these traditional European superpowers. Back then, there was no reason to believe that the United States of America would possess an abundance of relevant natural resources. Because, for example, coal and oil had no meaning to society yet. Gold did, but it wasn't discovered yet on a large scale in the United States. Back then, the United States was on nobody's shortlist of superpowers in the making. It took the discovery of oil and gold and the ending of a bloody civil war to lead the United States to an impressive growth of its population and economy. And only then, when Europe was destroyed by World War I, the US could rise to stardom and develop into a true world-leading nation. Soon after World War I, the Soviet Union started developing too in a remarkable way as a military and economic powerhouse. When Europe was even more shattered after World War II, the global balance of power had turned into a rather static bipolar situation, with the US on one side and the Soviet Union on the other side. It was once feared in the US that Japan would take over the role of the leading global power, but a lack of military options and the crush of the Japanese economy in the 1990s shattered that ambition for Japan for the long term. Then China came along, with its ever-growing economy and its military getting stronger every day. So now there is a troika of superpowers dominating international affairs.
It's called something different
Russia,
now, but that's Chicago.
China,
That's my
and
hometown.
the United States of America. I would like to add India to that short list of superpowers. And I want to make a prediction. The power of India will grow for the next decades, and it will grow faster than the other 3 superpowers. One day, perhaps around the year 2050, a moment will arrive that India is the most powerful nation in the world. No, this is not a joke. I do realize that some people who watch this video will laugh at the idea of India becoming the most powerful country in the world, but I'm serious about the possibility, and I will support my statement with 8 reasons why India will rule the world in 2050. Reason number 1. The army. With an active military of 1.4 million personnel, India has the second largest army in the world. Only China has a larger number of military personnel.
One of the most expensive
The
homes
American
in the
army
world
is
right there.
smaller than the Indian army. And now, of course, the number of personnel does not reflect the actual firepower or the capability of waging war of a country. But when looking at more military data, India shows to be an impressive military power in many ways. When it comes to military aircraft, India is the number 4 in the world with around 1,100 fighter jets. And when it comes to battle tanks, India is the number 6 in the world with around 4,500 units. So no matter how you look at this, India is one of the largest and most powerful armies in the world. And their army is even growing bigger and bigger in the near future. Reason number 2, the nuclear option. Only 9 countries in the whole world are known to possess nuclear weapons or are suspected of having nuclear weapons. India is one of them. This is the wild card in the game of world domination. It can highly advantage the position of a country in any international conflict. No country messes with a country that possesses nuclear warheads, and the select few who own them are among the most dominant nations in the world. Reason number 3, economic growth. The current GDP of a country determines an important part of today's power of a country. High economic growth, however, determines an important part of the future power of countries. India is one of the very select few who have both a large current GDP combined with a very high growth rate of that GDP. The USA has a much larger GDP than India, but its growth is much less than India. Only China and India create this special league of countries with both a top 10 position in the list of largest GDPs in the world, combined with an annual economic growth of no less than 7%. It's precisely the already large size of the Indian economy, combined with its huge economic growth, that lifts its status into the superpower stardom. Reason number 4, scale. Because of its huge population, everything in India happens in a big manner. But it can go either way. If a crisis would emerge in India, for example in employment, even a 1% decline of jobs would have grave consequences. The Indian workforce consists of over 500 million people. If their employment would decline with only 1%, that would mean that more than 5 million people would lose their jobs. But when it comes to, for example, building large-scale infrastructure, India can leverage its huge population to get any job done. Its supply of manpower is virtually endless. Just like China, and India is capable of building huge projects that no other country could pull off. Reason number 5, population growth. Now the first 4 reasons are also applicable to China.
This is a huge
too,
reason.
has a huge army, a huge population, nuclear weapons, and China has a very high economic growth. So based upon the first 4 reasons, one could argue that the future power of India and China would develop along the same kind of pattern, with the big difference that China has a huge lead, making it practically impossible for India to ever come close to the dominant position that China has.
That's
But there are big
that's a lot of
differences
people
between
down there.
India and
That's a
China
lot
that
of
give
people.
India significant advantages.
Hey, Blake.
One of them is the population growth. Although the
Is that
current
Mumbai?
populations of China and India are close to being the same,
That looks like Mumbai.
the Indian
Is it?
population
Hard to
growth
tell, man.
is much higher than the population growth in China. The current Indian population growth is about 1.2% per year. Population growth in China is just under 0.5%. making the difference in population growth 0.7% per year, because of the previous argument being the huge scale of India. A 0.7% difference in population growth is huge, but the difference is going to be even bigger. The United Nations predicts that the population of China will start to decline as of 2020. The population of India, however, is predicted to grow for the next 50 years. In 2030, according to the United Nations,
making them the
Indian
kings of the
population
East.
will outrank China by 112 million people. That's the entire population of Germany and Canada combined. In 2040, the difference in population between India and China has grown to 239 million people. That's the entire population of Germany, Canada, and Japan combined. In 2050, the Indian population will beat the Chinese by 357 million. That is the entire population of Germany, Canada, Japan, France, Australia, and North Korea combined. So again, that's not the size of India. It's only how much bigger India will be than China. So the coming decades, India's population is likely to get much larger than China's, leveraging its economy and military to an unprecedented scale that has never been seen before on this planet. Reason number 6, ICT. This is another reason that gives India an advantage over China. China has been specializing, if you will, in traditional industrial economic activities. The Chinese economy has a significant focus on manufacturing physical products and creating buildings and infrastructure. Now, I wouldn't want to say that manufacturing and building are not innovative industries, which they are, but India made another choice in its economic focus. India decided a long time ago it wanted to be the world's largest supplier of entertainment and ICT, and it's on schedule to complete that mission. The Mumbai area is home to the largest movie industry in the world, and the Bangalore area is now the second largest outlet of ICT companies in the world. It's predicted that Bangalore will even become bigger than the actual Silicon Valley area in California. By making these choices and fulfilling these ambitions, India is perhaps more equipped for future economic renewal than China is. Reason number 7, freedom. Another reason that gives India an advantage over China is freedom. India is the world's largest democracy. China is not a democracy and doesn't want to be one. Although, of course, India struggles with poverty, corruption, and injustice, it still is a democracy, and its economic model revolves around a free market system. Seen from that perspective, India is more likely to follow in the footsteps of the United States than China does. And that might be one of the reasons why India's economic growth rate is now overtaking China's growth rate. Imagine all of the people of India eventually becoming as wealthy as Americans. It would mean that the Indian economy would be very similar to the American economy. However, it would be 4 times bigger. Reason number 8, the underdog. What countries have been global superpowers for the past 5,000 years? I'll name you a few. Egypt, Greece, Italy, France, Spain, the United Kingdom, the United States, Russia, and now China. To be honest, China is sort of reprising and reinstating its former position. China has always been one of the most powerful countries in the world, but for the past century it has stood in the shadows of the United States. And now it's waking up again and restoring its superpower status. But India? No, not India. India is at almost none of the short lists of future superpowers that will dominate the world. Only very few people believe in this scenario. India is the underdog. It's the often undervalued and underappreciated country that many people associate with poverty and corruption. Therefore, the focus of countries like the US and China is on each other. The US and China are trying to compete and outdo each other constantly, just to make sure they have an advantage over the other. And up to now, they haven't seen India as a serious competitor for world leadership, and they won't be seeing that for the next 10 years. And that is exactly what India needs to quietly grow its economy, modernize its society, and to gain
Look how
military
beautiful
strength.
that is, all the colors.
Up to a point where India will be the number 3 in the world in the year 2025. And then India will be far too big for the US and China to turn the tables. And then India will be well on its way to world domination. Do you think this is nonsense? Or do you think it's possible for India to take on the role as world leader in the second half of the 21st century? Please share your opinion in the comments. Everyone is interested to hear your opinion on these matters, but please refrain from calling others stupid.
That is the European very good video. Boy, I think a couple things that stand out into what he said that is very true. Birth rate. The Indian population is exploding while the world is slowing down. The world is slowing down for a variety of reasons. In the West, a lot of it has to do with abortion. We're killing a lot of the babies. And in the West, families are in love with money and materialism. And having children costs money. And so it is viewed as a negative. It's viewed as a bill I don't have to have. If I don't have 5 kids, I can afford the second home, I can get a boat, I can do this, I can do that. I say hogwash to that. There is nothing more precious than a little one. I would rather have a little one than a boat. Just saying. Now, the warrior queen stays at home. Even though my boy is out, she stays at home. She's a housemaker, and she helps me with this. And it's very counterintuitive in the West. People look at me like, what are you guys, some kind of cult? I heard you got a YouTube channel. That's weird. It's like, okay, whatever, dude. So I think the birth rate is going to be a big deal. A big deal. It's going to be the largest nation in the world. I think the other thing that is very different than China is democracy, freedom. Freedom. It's like that, what's that, the old Bollywood song? Freedom! Freedom! I love that song. India has it. It has freedom. China is a dictatorship. It is a form of despotism. And despotism may work within China, but it ain't going to work globally, dude, because despotism does not produce great thinkers. It does not produce innovation. What's China good at? Oh, they're good at stealing everybody else's stuff. Inventing it? No, not really. Not really at all. Just look at the rich history of India. Look at the contributions in mathematics. Seriously, look at that. Look at the contributions in literature, and music, and entertainment. Just saying, pretty big contributions. Pretty big contributions. Look at the contributions in IT. Pretty big. What contributions is China giving us? Was it General Chung Pao chicken? What is it? That spicy chicken? General Choi, no. General So Tao Pao, General Pao chicken. It's real spicy, and it turns out it's not really from China. It was made in America, and we just called it Chinese. It's like, what? My whole life has been built on a delusion. So that's it. When it comes to military, India's military is way better. India's special forces are developing at an alarming rate. India's intelligence is developing at a larger rate. It is. Here's the deal. Okay, I'm gonna tell you a story. When I was in grade school, there was a girl named Sandy Stoll. Sandy Stoll was in grade school, was 6 feet tall, and she wore glasses, and her hair was always up in a bun, and she wore sweatpants all the time, and none of the boys wanted to date her or liked her because she was too tall, and she wore these big glasses. They were like this big. They were this big, and she was in sweatpants all the time. And she's nice enough. I mean, she was nice, so she was okay with me. And she would like the boys, and the boys are like, no. And if you were a boy and you responded to her overtures, the other boys are like, you're dating a giant, ha 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 ha. She's gonna have to pick you up like a baby, ha ha ha. So you got teased all the time. Well, grade school turned into junior high, turned into high school, and she discovered something called makeup. And she learned how to style her hair, and she started wearing dresses. And all of a sudden, she went from what seemed like an awkward look to a beauty, right? That's the same as India. I think people look at India and they think, oh, snake charmers. They think, curry smelling slums, and occasionally they can spell and do some math, but that's it. And that's so not even the picture, dude. It is so not. The truth is, India is the beautiful woman that steps forth, and everybody's like, how do I look? Okay, hey, how are you? I mean, and it's like they don't see it. They won't see it until it's there. I see it. I recognize it. I study. I listen. Listen, I'm just telling you, dude. You hear that? That's the coffee pot. My coffee pot. Yeah, coffee. I study Hinduism. I study Hindi. I study Indian history. I watch your films. I listen to your music. I think I get an understanding of India. I think. Am I an expert? No. Am I like a Hinduologist? Not at all. But I think I understand. I think I understand what the average Hindu man in India thinks about stuff. There's an Indian version of me over there somewhere, and I think I understand what's important to him, what he wants, what he's up against. I think, could be wrong, but I think, and in India has a very unique ability, and here's an ability, right? Mass corruption in India, mass corruption. A lot of obstacles to overcome, the poverty, the infrastructure, and yet you're doing it, right? America was different. When we decided to lay our infrastructure and like go west, young man, and build up an infrastructure. What I mean by infrastructure is sewage, water treatment, farming communities, irrigation, electricity, railways, city building, town building, metropolis. We did that as we expanded. Like we were kind of small, and as we grew, we're like, let's do this stuff. India has this task of like, oh, we are huge. Now let's start doing this stuff. Let's get the electricity. Let's get open defecation laws. Let's get, let's do these things. Let's work on, and it's way harder. It's way. I mean, where I live, and this comes up a lot because you see it in comments when we do a video of the GoPro kind of. Here are the two things people hear that they say a lot of. They see the neighborhood I live in. Boy, it's so quiet. And the roads are like butter. I would drive like a rocket on that road. It's so quiet. Where are the people? It's not uncommon for us to rip up a street here in America and lay natural gas under it, and then put the street back over it, right? So you get the gas, you go to your stove, you turn it on, boom, you got fire, you're ready to go, right? Not uncommon. Can you imagine doing that in Mumbai? Can you imagine going into downtown Mumbai and saying okay, we need to close off these 4 blocks because we're going to do upgrades to the road and do something with the plumbing underneath it or the piping or the electrical? What a chaos. And yet India does it. India does it in spite of all the obstacles. I mean, it's like the idea of Hanuman removing obstacles is like that's just what India does. They're obstacle removers. Oh, there's an obstacle. Oh no, education support. Oh no, we're gonna do this. It's just, to me, it's just completely amazing that India is able to do that, and I have a lot of respect for India for that. I have a lot of respect for Indians. Since we've gotten the deal with Star India, there's been a lot of new Indians showing up on the page, and I read their comments, and they're just like, fake. It's like, dude, really? You must be new, dude. You must be new, because there ain't nothing fake about me, bro. You got me confused with somebody else, not me. You got me confused with another reactor. It's not me. These are genuinely who we are. People will say, Professor, I love your videos because I can tell it's one take. You're not editing it. You're not like you said something stupid and had to go through and edit it and then roll it again. One take, baby. This is what it is, man. It is what it is. Thus, that is why we are Movie Community College. Well, that was a good video. Very much kind of re-emphasizes points that I think I've been talking about for a couple of years. I think we've been on YouTube now for 2.5 years. This may be our 3rd year on YouTube. And some good points there. Good points. I appreciate the video, sir. European man. I appreciate it. I mean, no disrespect reacting to it. If you don't want me to react to your videos, just send me an email and I'll stop. But I enjoy your stuff. Peace and much love. What's up? Hey, thank you so much for watching this video. I would ask you to please subscribe. Please like and share. And please go check out Dark Sky Radio, the greatest internet radio station in the world.